That's it. Okay, today is Monday, the 5th of Iyar, May 13th. We're going to start with Sfiras HaOmer on page 137. Today is the 20th day of the Omer. So let's say together, Hayoim, Esrim, Yom, Shehem, Shnei, Shavuos, Veshisha, Yamim, LaOmer. Okay. Today we continue in the chapter 46 of Tanya. We're on page 83. Charlie, you ready? Yesterday we spoke about the love that one feels when you sense somebody loves you, you love him back, or the opposite. If you really love somebody, they're going to reciprocate that love to you, just like when you look in the water, you see your reflection. Not only do you see your reflection, but you also see the mood that the person who's looking in the water is in. Because the face, panim, in Hebrew is a face, while panim also is the beginning of the word of pnimiyut. So you could see the innermost of what the person's feeling. If a person's smiling, looking in the mirror, you see the person smiling back at you. If you see the person sorrowful, so someone came into shul this morning, he told me someone's very sad, there was a situation. He knew by looking at the person's face. You can tell if somebody needs your help just by being there for them as a friend. When people are having a tough time, a good friend knows that he's needed for his friend. The opposite is also true. If you show a lack of caring and concern about your friend, then they feel that as well. So that's number one. And obviously, what we're doing here is we're trying to train the mind in loving Hashem. And the Alter Rebbe is bringing all sorts of examples. It doesn't mean that this is just a mashal. Avas Yisrael is Avas Hashem also. It comes hand in hand. You can't have Avas Hashem without Avas Yisrael. In today's lesson, imagine a scene of a king choosing to spend the most royal garbed king, a Jewish king, and he decides to go to the bad part of town and find someone who's homeless, who's a lowlife, who's just, just unsuccessful in every way. And he brings him into the palace. He has him cleaned up. They get him a haircut. They shower him. They give him beautiful clothing to wear. And the king sits down and has a meal with him. It's the same person. By the way, we see these video clips of these guys that pick up a homeless guy. You ever saw these clips? They pick up a homeless guy. They clean them up. They give them a haircut. They give them a shower. They give them clothing. They try to get them a job. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But either way, obviously,
nurtureless in nature.
Obviously, it's a beautiful thing. Everybody feels good about it, right? You hope that it's really an authentic approach versus just to get clicks on YouTube. But whatever. Either way, it's very nice. So this lowly individual obviously feels a tremendous appreciation and love for the king that decided to choose him from amongst the beggars and the homeless to bring him into the palace and clean him up and give him a hot meal and a warm bed and a shower and everything else. So we think to ourselves, okay, when it comes to two friends, I could understand this concept of love. If I love him, he loves me. But how does that relate to me and Hashem? We're not friends. We're not buddies. We're not on the same level. We don't see eye to eye. So when you have a friend, that's one thing. Alachas kama v'kama imelech godo v'rav mare ahavosei hagdoila v'atzuma leish hedyoit v'nivze v'shfal anoshim u'menuval hamutol ba'ashpa. Imagine a king, great and mighty king who rules over many lands, displays great and intense love for a simple commoner who's despised and lowly amongst men. Everybody walks by him. They don't want to get too close. He smells, he stinks, he looks horrible. He's disgraceful. He's sitting in the dunghill like garbage dump. The king depicted here rules not only over one land, but over many. Okay, please put your phone on mute. Thank you. Oh, nice crew on the line today. I usually don't check, but since there was a little noise, I checked. Okay, so his love for the person is not only harbored in the heart, but is manifest. The manner of love is not ordinary, but miraculous and intense when the king goes and picks up this guy, this homeless guy who's sleeping on a pile of garbage in the corner. He stinks and he's unkempt and he hasn't eaten in days and the love is shown not to an ordinary person, but a despicable person, at least from outside appearances, let's say. The Alter Rebbe now goes on to state how his love is displayed. The Yoyre de love he goes down from the palace of glory together with his whole entourage. Umrimoy, ba'ashposai, he takes him from the dunghill, from the garbage pile, from underneath the bridge, wherever he's sleeping. This guy Nebuch, he hasn't had a square meal in days. He stinks. His clothes are torn and ripped. And he brings him to the royal palace. In a place, he brings him all the way to the inner chambers, in a place where most of the servants don't get to go into. Only his closest advisors. And there he shares with him the closest companionship. He gives him a haircut, he gives him clothing. Obviously, he gave him a hot shower. He probably had a sauna and a cold plunge. And he gave him good food, herbal medicines, maybe even the bank, what do they do? The Turkish baths. Yeah. And a massage. And of course, delicious food and all, everybody's sitting there taking care of him. And the king comes after he's all, and he gives him a hug and an embrace. Imagine how he's made to feel. When a mighty king shows such affection and companionship to such a lowly person, what happens then? Alachas kama v'kama. One more line here. How much more so will there be aroused of itself a doubled and redoubled love in the heart of this most common and humble individual? If it's your friend, it's one thing. You're expecting your friend to love you. But the king chose me and he took me out of this horrible situation. He's giving me food and clothing and he's setting me up in such a way like I feel like not even $1 million. I feel like this is a dream. Somebody pinched me. This can't be real. And the king is hugging me? For whatever reason, he chose me? Of course, the person feels such a true attachment from the heart and soul, from the infinite depths of his heart. Even if a person is hardened, imagine he's been homeless for years. His family shunned him. Nobody talks to him. After a while, his personality changes and he's a difficult person. But even a person like that with a heart of stone, he must v'hoya l'mayim v'sishtapich nafshi kamayim kichlois hanefesh mamish la'avas hamelech. What happens is, usually his heart is not easily aroused with tender feelings and love for another person. But in such a situation, even this guy who's been hardened, he's being used to ridiculed and spit on. Even he's begging, please could I have $1 so I could buy a cup of coffee or something, and shout up. People just laugh at him and walk by him. But even him, his heart melts and his heart becomes like water, and his soul will pour itself out like water with soulful longing for the love of the king that brought him out of that horrible situation, brought him into this palace, loved him, cared for him, and cherished him. So the takeaway is, like water reflects an image when you look in the water. Again, not only do you see yourself, but you see what the feelings that you have. A person reflects back what is projected on them. And it's true between people. Yes, if you treat your friend nice, he treats you nice, you love him, he loves you. But also between us and Hashem. If we project warmth and love, we will receive it back. Now let's adapt that to our daily lives. We wake up in the morning, we could either go, I wish I could just sleep in. Somebody told me this morning when I walked in, he had a big smile when he greeted me this morning. He said, I don't want to get out of bed this morning. I don't want to come to Minyan. And then I thought, L'chatchila river. Instead of trying to figure out how to get around it, jump out of bed. And he came. And that's the way we approach. If we have this good energy, that's reciprocating the love that Hashem is giving us. Are you breathing? Are you eating? You know, we said on Pesach that the splitting of the sea is so miraculous. It's almost as miraculous as having food on the table every single day, which if you think about it is amazing. And as almost as miraculous as a marriage between a husband and a wife. We'll get to that another time. But in any event, Hashem loves us. He cherishes us. He takes care of us. Imagine if we're that person that's sitting on that pile of garbage and we know what's going through our minds. You don't have to share it. We don't want to know. And what's going on in our hearts at times. And we're not interested in all the little tedious things that a person has to do to be a mensch, to be a Talmudic Jew. But we do it anyways, and we push through it. So when we wake up, instead of doing it despite or whatever, or being, okay, I got to do it with a guilty feeling, or just rolling through the motions, say, Hashem is cherishing us. I got to reciprocate that. And when we share that love, we come to show with a gusto and a feeling of excitement, of good energy, of warmth and happiness. Simcha Peiru together, joy is the most important thing. Of course, there's problems in the world. Of course, there's sorrow. We experience pain. We'll go through when we hit that moment, whether it's during davening or during our day, we have that sad moment. And then we, as we say in Yiddish, wish up und geh weiter. We wipe it off and we move forward. Hashem should bless each and every one of us, that we should feel the love in our hearts and our warmth for every single Jew, for the Torah, for his people, for the land, and for our Kadosh Baruch Hu. Everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again, Hashem, tomorrow.